Hey guys, welcome to a brand new channel. This channel is Joe Talks Footy. On this channel I'll be doing match reviews, player ratings and news surrounding Fulham Football Club, as I am a Fulham fan, as you can see. And I'm going to be talking about the game, how I thought it went, and my passion for Fulham Football Club. I hope you enjoy. Now, today's video is a video on my players' performances of the season so far, because we're 10 games in and I just thought, well, as I haven't made any content, I want to judge how I think players have done this season. There's a lot of different categories in this. There's can't judge. Now, to caveat that, every player has played a game this season. Can't judge is like they've played a couple of games, but it's not enough for me to really know how I feel about them and how it's hard to judge. Then average has been, they've had some good performances but some bad, and just on the whole that evens itself out. Then there's good, which they have been really solid. 90% of their performances have been really good. And then player of the season is my player of the season so far, and it is the goalkeepers. So Bender, I put in can't judge, because like he is our second choice goalie. He's played 2 cup games, and obviously he was part of that team that lost the mammoth penalty shootout against Plymouth Preston, and he was not good in that penalty shootout. He was not saving anywhere nowhere near getting close to them. He made a couple of good saves against Birmingham, but on the whole I can't really judge because it's such a small sample size. Now on to the second one, Leno. I think he's been really good. Like last season I thought he had a few more shaky games than he did the season before, but I think he's really picked up. Apart from sometimes he slows the game down, and sometimes you can see his kicking sometimes isn't there, but his one-on-one saves, some of his saves he made, like the save against Brentford, he made some excellent saves the other day against Palace, and he's just really great to have. Someone that is so confident and like brings that confidence back. So yeah, I'd say he's been good this season. I don't think he's actually had a bad game, and also the goals he concedes are never normally his fault. So now onto the centre backs. Jorge Cuenca is poor. Well, I know I just said Bender had 2 games and it's like I can't judge him, but what I feel like is he hasn't, whenever I've seen him, he hasn't looked that good. And also he came on against Everton and made that mistake. Well, he didn't make the mistake, but we conceded straight after he came on, and it was just like a bit disappointing. Next is Diop, and this might surprise you because he hasn't played all the games. I think he's in one of our better centre backs, because when we started the season, I was obviously like, people still have questions about him. Tosin left and people were like, is Diop gonna fill in for him? And I think he's been really good. Like you see that first few games, I honestly thought he was the best centre back that we had at that point. He didn't make many mistakes. It was really like strange, because we're so used to him having these hiccups and stuff and like having these brain farts, but he hasn't had that this season. And every time he's played, I think he's been really capable and really good on the ball, really strong in the tackle, and I think he's actually been really good. Next is Calvin Bassey. I actually think Calvin Bassey has been average. Now I say average, he has picked it up recently, been really good, but he made a mistake versus Brentford. He didn't look that comfortable. Maybe that's because he had Diop, maybe because he was the main guy, I don't know who, but I think he has had a mixed bag. I think he's coming into form, and we know from last season how vitally important he is, with the way he can drive out of play, the way he's really strong in the tackle. Now on to Anderson. So this may surprise you, because he has had a red card this season, which I don't think was entirely his fault. I think he was left on his own, and it was a hard one to see what he could have done there. But I'm going to put him as my player of the season, because I think when he's come in, he's just been absolutely brilliant. Like the way his long range passing, the way he just brings out the ball, his passing range is absolutely amazing. He's so good in the air. He's just brings that calmness, and we've missed him for so long. Like when he left, I was gutted, because I thought he was our best player that season, and it's just so good and reassuring to have him back. So I think he's my player of the season so far. Now on to the fullbacks. Well, I don't know, it depends what you think of Sessegnon. Is he a winger, is he a fullback? But personally, I think it's been poor. Now, when he signed back for the club, I was really happy. I loved him when he played for us. I thought, and obviously he's one of our own, and I think it's been poor, not in the terms of when he's played, he's looked quite decent. He's mainly played in the cups, but I think it's poor because that he hasn't really grabbed the shirt. And I know it's really hard when we've got players like Jedi and Tete, but I was expecting maybe a bit more from him. Maybe he's just not fully fit, so I think it is a bit harsh, but I was really hoping that he could get more minutes. Next is Castagna. Castagna was our main right back / left back last season because he can fit in at left back, but this season with the emergence of Tete, I feel like when he's come on, he hasn't looked as good. And also, I was surprised to see that he didn't start the season, but I can understand why. I really think he's a really, really good player. He's very good at going forward, very good at defending. But I think this season, I remember the City game, he just didn't close his man down. He hasn't looked as sharp when he's come on, but I also think he is a really good option off the bench. It's average because he hasn't played that many minutes. The next is Anthony Robinson, aka Jedi. He has been absolutely brilliant, and he's probably the best left back for me in the league at the moment. And it's crazy because I didn't really think he was the best player in the Championship, but now he's playing consistently week in, week out. He's just been brilliant. The way he runs up and down the pitch, you could see against Palace, his willingness to run, his willingness to track back, he's really good one-on-one. Like, his interception rates are amazing. And I think he's been really good. And that cross for Harry Wilson, the way he just slowed it down and dinked the cross in. Next is Tete. When I came into the season, I was thinking, is Tete going to come back? Is he going to get back into form? Because he was injured for a lot of last season. But this season, he's been really good, getting up and down the pitch, really strong to tackle. Because we know from a couple of seasons ago, he was arguably one of the best one-on-one defenders. And that Chelsea performance was just like one of the best performances I've seen for a very long time. So yeah, I'm really, really happy to have him like back firing for us, and I'm just so good. He's kept Timothy Castagna out, from who was our main right back last season. Next is Josh King. I can't judge. He's only played a few minutes in the cup here and there, but he's always on the bench, and he's another guy from the academy that is up and coming. He's been spoken about lots. I think he's a midfielder. I don't really know a lot about his game, but from the people that I've spoken to that know him have said he's really, really good, and he's one to look out for. So I'm really excited. And that cameo, I think was it versus Birmingham, was really, really exciting. Next is Sander Berge. Now, he came in and didn't really start this season because he's been a bit injured, and don't think really had a pre-season. And I don't know, like at first when I first saw him, I just thought, what is he doing? Like, what's his role? Is he a defensive midfielder, attacking, like box to box? And his passing was a bit sideways, he wasn't that strong in the tackle. I remember a game, it was against Villa, the game completely bypassed him. Like, there was nothing there. Like, you wouldn't know that he was there. But then I think, and the next few games, he's been really, really good in the tackle, really good on the pitch. And I think it's taken him time to grow into this team, and I think that a lot of people are too quick to judge. Next is Alex Iwobi, who arguably could have been the player of the season for me, but I just think Anderson's just been a bit better, but not by much. Alex Iwobi, the way he drives the ball, the way he takes on his man, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a stat in the top 5 European leagues, he's passed the ball into the box more than anyone. Shows how forward thinking he is. He doesn't look back that much, and the way he's got a really good finish on him, as we saw against Everton. I really like Iwobi, and I think he offers so much. He can play off the left, off the right, in the middle. He's just so versatile, and he just brings so much to this team. His relationship with Emil Smith-Rowe has been amazing. Next is Sasha Lukic, who unfortunately got injured while on international duty for Serbia, but I think he's been really good. Like, we all were worried about how are we going to replace João Palhinha when he left, and how are we going to, do we really have the midfielders to do that João Palhinha role? Now, obviously, he's not the same type of player. He's more of a box-to-box, I'd say, but he's been really good. like the way he drives the ball. His tackles have actually really improved this season, and I'm really happy to see that. I also think his game's just, his intelligence, his reading of the game is just so much better. Next on the list is Harrison Reed, which it's a sad one for me because I've always really liked the guy. I always think he's a nice, tidy footballer. He's really good at putting pressure on the other players. He's really good. But I just think he's been poor because whenever he's come on, I don't think he's looked a bit lightweight and just not always growing into the game. And I know that's 5 minutes here and there doesn't really help. And also, another thing that's like puts him in the poor category for me is like the fact that when Lukic got injured, he definitely wasn't in Marco's plans. Next is Emil Smith-Rowe, and what a signing he has been. Like, I'd never seen such an excitement for a signing like him. The way he can just get out of tight spaces, the way can run with the ball, his finishing is great, his link-up play has been amazing. Now, I would have put him in my player of the season, but I think there's a couple of games where I think the game bypassed him, and I think he's being asked to do a lot more than he did at Arsenal. Next is Harry Wilson, who I'd say average. Now, before the last 2 games, which I will speak about in a minute, he came on games and didn't look like he had it, but that's also because it's like 5 minutes here and there. But when he came on against Brentford, that is the reason I can bump it up to average, because oh my god, I have never seen scenes like that in the ground. And his runs into the box are amazing, and he did it against Palace as well, and it's so good. Now, next is Tom Kearney, who I think has been average. Like, he hasn't played that many games this season, and I think that is his age. He's getting a bit older now, and I don't think that he has the same energy as he did. Obviously, he's been at the club for 10 years, great servant, and whenever he comes on, he always controls the games. He's always on it. It's Tom Kearney at the end of the day. Like, we all love Tom Kearney, but I think his time at Fulham might be coming to an end. Next is Reece Nelson, who's on loan from Arsenal, and I've seen him in the past, and I didn't really know a lot about him because he didn't get that many minutes at Arsenal. But when he came on for that first game, I can't remember the game he came on for. I think it was the West Ham game. He was so electric. Like, his pace, his skill is absolutely brilliant. Like, man, I'd never felt so excited watching a player. I was like, what is going on? I've never felt that excited for a player coming on, and it was just the energy and everything. My only thing with him is his finishing is a bit lacking. His willingness to get to the ball, his willingness to get to the box, and sometimes he overthinks his shot and just rushes it or I don't know, hits it with too much power. But if he can iron out his finishing, what a player we've got on our hand. Next is Andreas Pereira, which would probably be the most contentious one, as a lot of people, and including myself, get really frustrated with him. Like, we can see what he brings to the team. He is so energetic. He works 110% every game. There's no doubting his ability, but I feel like he always seems to lose the ball. His passing rate hasn't been great. He seems to dilly-dally on the ball too much and loses possession. And for a guy that supposedly is one of our most creative players, it doesn't seem to be there, in my opinion. And I know the stats say, he creates the most chances. I don't know what they're watching. I don't know. It just seems like, this season felt like everything has just bypassed him. And obviously he's playing a new role in a bit deeper, so it's obviously not going to be as easy because he's used to playing in the 8, in the 10, and I'm not sure he's used to playing this position where he's having to do more tracking back, more defensive work. There has been a few games where I thought, yeah, he's actually really controlled the tempo of the game. Like against Palace, I thought he was really actually one of our better players, I thought. Next is Adama Traore, who I think has been really good. It's so good to see that he's back in the team. He had a lot of injuries last season, so it's really hard to judge. And obviously we know the qualities he has in behind his pace. He's been so good. It's so good to see what Marco's done with him. My only issue with him has been his finishing. It's been like the game against City, he should have scored. A lot of other chances he should have scored. And I feel like that's what sets him away from being a really, really being a good player that he is to a top player. as a lot of people say, he wouldn't be at the club if he could finish. But yeah, on the whole, I think he's been really good. The way he takes on his man, his strength, and he's just... he's got a few assists this season, and it's just been really, really good to see. Next is Carlos Vinicius. Is he still at the club? What is he doing here? Like, he played a few games last season, but he's not going to get back in the team. There's probably no point me even really talking about it, because it's just... I can't judge. Literally, there's no appearances, so can't judge. And probably he's going to be sold in the January window, which unfortunately for him isn't great. Next is Rodrigo Muniz, who last season had a really good purple patch where he scored 9 goals and he was really on form. Now, he started the first few games of the season, and I just don't think he was that good when he played, and I think he was getting outbeaten by the defenders. I don't know, his hold-up play didn't seem to be as strong. Now, it is a lot when you just been given the number 9 shirt and it's like you're asked to be the main guy, and I don't know, it just didn't feel... And I really thought he played well in that patch, but I've always seen the deficiencies in him, and I'm hoping that maybe if Raul gets injured, that he can get a run of games and he can score. And we saw a really, really good finish against City. Next is Raul Jimenez, who didn't start off the season, but when he's come in, my goodness, his goals to starts ratio has been brilliant. His hold-up play has been really good. His off-the-ball work's been amazing, and I'm really loving it. Like, his finishing is great. The goal against Newcastle where he turned and shot, it was brilliant. He's just been really good. Like, it's like, I think a lot of people forgot about him when Muniz had his purple patch, but I've always really liked the guy, and it's been a shame. It was such a shame when he got his injury that I think it knocked his confidence. But on the whole, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. You can just see what he offers to the team. That is my player ratings so far. Comment down below if you agree with them. And if you don't, let me know what you don't think is right, what you think you would do differently and say differently. I hope you enjoy this video, and I will see you for another video. Bye.